Let me be plain with you. If you die without a trust, your money doesn't automatically go to your family the way you think it does. In many cases, the court steps in. Timelines stretch, fees pile up, and the people you wanted to protect can end up waiting months, sometimes longer, for what you already earned. Today, I'm going to walk you step by step through what happens to your assets when you die without a trust, and how to avoid the most common traps. This is education, not legal advice. Rules vary by state, but the system works the same way in principle. Before we talk courts, understand this. When you die, every asset you own falls into one of two categories. First, transfer on death assets. These have a built-in recipient. Examples include life insurance with a beneficiary, retirement accounts like a 401 or IRA with a beneficiary, payable on death bank accounts, and transfer on death brokerage accounts. If those beneficiaries are filled out correctly, those assets usually pass outside of probate. The second category is court-controlled assets. These are assets in your name alone, with no beneficiary structure. Examples include a house titled only in your name, a bank account with no POD, a car titled only to you, a business interest with no succession plan, and personal property of value. These are the assets that often get pulled into the court process. And when people say dying without a trust is a mess, this is usually what they mean. If you die without a trust, probate is usually next. Probate is the legal process where the court confirms you actually died, identifies what you owned, pays your final bills and debts, determines who gets what, and transfers ownership. It sounds orderly, but here's the truth. Probate can be slow, public, and expensive. Slow, because paperwork and court schedules move at court speed. Public, because many probate filings become public record. Expensive, because fees, court costs, and professional help can eat into the estate. And if there's conflict in the family, probate becomes a stage. Now, we get to the real danger. If you die without a trust and without a will, you are considered to have died intestate. That means your state decides who inherits and in what order. Not your wishes, not your promises, not what you told your spouse last year. The state uses a preset formula, often prioritizing spouses, children, and then extended family. But the details vary. Here's what families don't expect. If you have minor children, the court may control how money is managed for them. If you have blended families, things can get complicated fast. If your person is not legally recognized the way you assume, the law may not treat them how you intended. That's how wealth gets redirected, quietly and legally, away from your original plan. So, who controls everything while the court figures it out? When there is no trust, someone must be appointed to manage the estate. That person is called an executor if there's a will, or an administrator if there isn't. Even if your family agrees on who it should be, the court still has to approve it. Once appointed, that person may need to open an estate bank account, notify creditors, inventory your assets, handle tax documents, and petition the court to transfer property. So, while your family is grieving, they're also managing a legal project. Let me give you the 5 most common problems I see when there's no trust. First, time delays. Families often can't access funds quickly, even to maintain the home or cover expenses. Second, probate costs, and fees. The estate pays the bill, which means the inheritance shrinks. Third, public exposure. Assets, disputes, and beneficiaries can become part of public record. Fourth, family conflict. Even good families can become divided when money is frozen and emotions are high. Fifth, outdated beneficiary mistakes. People forget to update beneficiaries after divorce, new children, or deaths in the family. And that can override what anyone thought the plan was. That part hurts the most because it was preventable. So what does a trust do differently? A properly set up trust lets your assets pass by your instructions, not court permission, because the trust owns or controls the assets. Instead of a judge and a court timeline, the person you chose, your trustee, can carry out your plan with more privacy and usually far less delay. A trust is not about being rich. It's about control, privacy, speed, and protecting the people you love from administrative chaos. Here's what you should do this week. First, list your assets: home, accounts, cars, business, insurance. Second, check beneficiaries on insurance and retirement accounts and update anything outdated. Third, add POD or TOD where appropriate. Fourth, decide your who. Who handles money, who raises children, who receives what. Fifth, talk to an estate planning attorney in your state, especially if you own property, have children, or own a business. Do not leave your family with a courtroom mystery. If you want, I'll do the next video on trust versus will, which one you actually need first. I'll also give you a BD and C checklist you can use to start organizing today. Like, subscribe, and click the next video. Because wealth isn't what you make, it's what you protect.